Hello, Packers fans. Welcome to PackersNews.com, Facebook and YouTube Live. I'm Kassidy Hill here live from Allegiant Stadium, where the Raiders have just taken the field for their session of pregame warm-ups. I'm sure you can kind of see some of the lights flashing around me here at the press box. Sadly, can't be on the field here in Vegas for pregame. But still going to be an interesting game here tonight. We've got, looking at the clock, 46 minutes till kickoff. And going to be an interesting game between not only the Packers and the Raiders, but of course between Devonte Adams and his former team. It's going to be the matchup to watch here, especially between Devonte Adams and Jair Alexander. First, let's go over the actives and inactives. As we mentioned just a second ago, Jair Alexander will be matched up against Devonte Adams. Jair Alexander is active for tonight. Huge get for Packers to get him back. Missed. He has 2 games dealing with a back injury. He told us this week that he and Devonte Adams kind of joked back in January that they might need to take the week off before the game just to be fresh to face each other tonight. We don't think that has anything to do with why Jair Alexander missed the last 2 weeks. I'm hearing some people say they can't hear me. Can you hear me? If you can't hear me, just let me know. In the meantime, Jair Alexander is active for tonight. Aaron Jones is not. Running back Aaron Jones practiced all week, but he was in a limited capacity. He was considered questionable for this game. He traveled to Vegas, he made the trip. He did what we know some pregame warm-ups, and then was labeled inactive for tonight. I see that someone said you can't hear me. There's just background noise. Unfortunately, that's always going to be a little bit of the case in a loud stadium, especially in inside stadium like this. The sound kind of bounces, but I'll try to speak a little bit louder just to make sure you can hear me. There are a lot of Packer fans here. Neil asked how many Packer fans are there. I saw a ton of Packer fans walking in. Also, just along the strip last night, walking down the strip, saw a ton of Packers jerseys, Packers fans. There were Packers fans all over the place driving in. The stadium is still well from being full since we're about 45 minutes from kickoff here. But of the fans that are here, I would say it's easily 70-30 Packers fans, maybe even skewed a little bit more, 75-25. There's a lot of green and gold in this black stadium right now. And because the stadium is all black, the green and gold really, really stands out. Let's kind of go back to inactives. The inactives for tonight are Malik Keith, Aaron Jones, Anthony Johnson Jr., Zane Anderson, Devonte Campbell, Caleb Jones. Malik Keith is not too surprising given that Christian Watson is back. Malik Keith being inactive from week to week is probably going to happen, especially during his rookie year. Aaron Jones is the shocking one a little bit. Anthony Johnson Jr., again, right now they're fine at safety. Didn't expect that one. Zane Anderson, another safety that has been dealing with a hamstring injury for the past few weeks. And then Devonte Campbell left that Saints game with an injury. We kind of knew he was going to be out for a while. The fact that the Packers have a bye week coming up could really, really help Devonte Campbell and then Caleb Jones. The Packers also moved Patrick Taylor off of the practice squad to the active roster. This is not a standard game day elevation. He is now on the 53-man roster because he was out of those standard game day elevations. You only get 3 a season. After that, if the team wants to put you back on the roster, you have to be on the 53-man roster. So the Packers did that today with Patrick Taylor and released Justin Collins in a corresponding move. The team likes Patrick Taylor, so that wasn't too surprising that he was going to end up on this 53-man roster at some point. The fact that they're not going to have Aaron Jones tonight can make a big difference with that as well. Matt asked, with Hollins being released, maybe Brenton Cox gets some opportunities. Very good point, Matt, because Brenton Cox is not inactive for tonight. And I will need to go back and check, but I believe this is the first game he has not been inactive for his rookie season. So could see Brenton Cox getting on the field for a couple of times tonight, especially depending on how the game is going and what the score looks like. Um, Speaking of Jair Alexander and Devonte Adams, let's go back to that. That's of course going to be the biggest matchup. Devonte Adams said this week of Jair Alexander, I didn't create that monster, but he certainly become one. Because these are two guys that spent a lot of time in training camp going one on one. Before Devonte was traded to Las Vegas. And Jair Alexander talked a lot this week about how much Devonte Adams really trained him and helped him become the receiver he can be. We're actually hear a little bit from Jair on Devonte Adams as the chemistry that the two were able to share early to train each other.
It's pretty evident he's the best in the league. So, he's just quick. I can go on and on, but he's the best. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Do you feel like you have an advantage just from years of training camp and stuff, or does he have that same advantage?
No, I got that advantage for sure. Most deaf. I got that advantage. I've seen everything I needed to see. I wouldn't say it's like the Super Bowl or the playoffs, but it's kind of like that. So it is what it is. I can't miss this matchup with the best.
We heard from Jair Alexander there on the all of the things that Devonte Adams taught him early on, and how it's going to make that interesting tonight because these two know each other so well. Does that make a difference in how they play each other? Also, it's important to note you cannot cover Devonte Adams one-on-one. You can be the best corner in the league, as Jair Alexander likes to say over and over that he is. You're still not going to be able to cover Devonte Adams one-on-one. You remember that famous play back in 2021 when the Packers were playing the Ravens, and the Ravens put 3 guys on Devonte Adams. And so that's almost what you have to do at times. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see Darnell Savage shifted up to help Jair with Adams tonight. Brian asked, did Jones have a setback or should he just not have played last week? That's a very good question, Brian, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know the answer to it. He only had 6 touches versus the Lions. It's hard to believe, at least for me, that 6 touches could have done him in. And that's something that we'll have to ask Matt LaFleur after the game because he did practice all week. Again, albeit in a limited capacity. But what we saw of him during the open media portion, he didn't look to have lost his step. He didn't look to be held up. He looked to be running just fine on that hamstring. So I almost wonder if it had something to do with a setback, or maybe it's after 3 days of practicing, he woke up on Sunday and realized, hey, that the hamstring is bothering me again. The Packers also have a bye week coming up. Maybe there's something to the training staff wanting to hold him out as precaution. I'm not exactly sure, and that's a question that's going to have to get asked after this game, regardless of the outcome. Neil says, I hope Musgrave gets involved today. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see him get involved because he can maybe take advantage of some of those intermediate areas behind this defensive line and guys like Max Crosby. Otherwise, he's going to have to be used up front to block Max Crosby because that's going to be what this offense has to watch. In fact, Jordan Love talked about this week and said Max Crosby is someone you have to have an eye on at all times. Neil also asked, do you think they will shade coverage at Tay? Okay, so I'm sorry, I put that up before I fully read the question. Yes, I think they will. And I think we'll see help over the top, too. Amy says, need some tough blocking from the O-line so receivers and backs can get some yards. Matt LaFleur went to his offensive line this week and told them before practice on Thursday, we're going to recommit to the run game. I don't know how feasible that will be without Aaron Jones, but do you see, maybe even a lot more of A.J. Dillon and Emmanuel Wilson and Patrick Taylor, and maybe even Jaden Reed on some jet sweeps, just kind of things to take advantage of these guys in space up front and keep the defense honest and kind of keep them up front so that then you can get those over-the-top shots to guys like Christian Watson. Let's see if we've got some other questions coming in here. Gary's going to need a couple of sacks without drawing a flag. That'll be huge, especially to get to Jimmy Garoppolo, who is willing to kind of stand back there and hold on to the ball and then just kind of, check it down. So can they get to him and fluster him early so that then he feels like he has to get rid of it? That's when some tips and overthrows come into the equation. Jason says, how much involvement do we see for Emmanuel Wilson? Well, somebody's gonna have to get those touches that would have gone to Aaron Jones. Emmanuel Wilson on paper can do the most like Aaron Jones. We haven't fully seen it since the season started, but could he maybe find it tonight against this Raiders defense, which can be porous at times? Might see a little bit more from Emmanuel Wilson. Jordan Love talked a lot this week though about also having these extra days. They had sort of a mini bye because they played a Thursday night game and now a Monday night game. He talked about what he did to focus on himself during those 10 days, and then also the extra work he was able to get in looking at the Raiders defense and who stood out. Let's actually hear from Jordan Love on those things he focused on over this mini bye getting ready for the Raiders.
I think Matt challenged us, after last game, going through the break, just, continue to watch the past couple games and challenge everybody to think of one thing that, we're going to work on going forward and just kind of our focus into that going forward. So, going to the bye, we'll have just things we're thinking about when we're out there at practice, going to the game, just focusing on things we can get better at.
Jordan, what was your one thing?
No, my thing is just completions, just going out there, getting positive plays, and just finding completions on every play. I think we just got to get into our rhythm faster. Kind of what I said, just finding completions early, get the ball moving, kind of just getting ourselves out of maybe the third and long situations we put ourselves in. Cleaning up penalties, just all the pre-snap things that is hurting ourselves. So I think once we get that rhythm going again, we'll be good. He's a really good player, somebody that we got to be just aware of where he's at every play and do it. We have a good plan going into it to block him up. He's a guy we got to know where he's at.
We heard there from Jordan Love, have to know where Max Crosby is at all times, because that is a guy that can wreck an offense, can wreck a young quarterback, can wreck an offensive line. Speaking of offensive line, interesting question here from Dale. You cover the team. Why do you think Royce is still in front of Ryan? He can't play as bad. I think what Sean Ryan has shown in camp, practice, but more so camp, has been encouraging. He was held out last year for suspended for an illegal PED, which he said did not know was a substance in something he had been taking. And I think that this team values what you've done maybe a little more over what you can do. And therefore, they've seen something from Royce Newman already, and they're sticking with that instead of going with the unknown or Sean Ryan in the game. I don't know if that's tangible long term. If you have someone better on the bench, I think you have to try that. That being said, Elton Jenkins should be back in the lineup tonight, which is huge for Jordan Love, especially facing this Raiders defense. And so this may not be a question you have to worry about again for a while. Because if Elton Jenkins is back in at left guard, Royce Newman's not on the field, neither is Sean Ryan. You want no offense to either of those two guys, but you want your all-pro Elton Jenkins out on the field. One of the biggest storylines of tonight, though, is the Carlson brothers. Anders Carlson for the Packers, Daniel Carlson for the Raiders are both kicking. It'll be the first time the two brothers have ever played each other. They played together at Auburn. But both are sort of disciples, I guess you could say, of Rich Bisaccia as well. Rich Bisaccia took Daniel Carlson after he had been cut by the Vikings after missing some kicks at Lambeau Field, kind of reinstilled his confidence and built him back up, and now he's an all-pro kicker. And he was able to take Anders as a rookie coming in with some issues in training camp, and now Anders is now into week 5 and yet to miss a kick. And so a lot of love for Rich Bisaccia from the two Carlson brothers, but also a lot of love from the two Carlson brothers for each other. Daniel Carlson told Raiders reporters this week that he always gets nervous watching Anders kick. He's just, he's like, that's my brother and me. I get nervous watching him. He said, I hope Monday night, he's like, obviously I don't want him to miss a kick. Maybe the Raiders can block some so he doesn't have to miss it. So we'll wait and see that happen. If this game comes down to a kick, it could be an interesting night for the Carlson family. Anders, though, talked this week about what it is going to mean to him to go out and face his brother and how special this is for his family. They have family that came in from Sweden. They have so much family here tonight to see these two play each other. Anders talked this week about what it's going to mean for the two brothers as well. Let's hear from him now.
He was always, 4 years older, so he's beating me up. I was physically looking up to him, but I think now being on the same level, being the same height, me being a little stronger than him too, so that plays into it. But it's more of a good friendship now, and we're still brothers, obviously, but we're kind of on the same level, going through the same things week by week. I think the most important thing he's talked about is this mentality of picking out what you want to do a certain day or in your journey and sticking to it. There's so many ebbs and flows as a kicker, whether it's the day or your season, and just trusting what you do. I think that's the biggest thing he's kind of taught me.
We'll see if Anders can trust what he does tonight, something he's learned from his brother. We've got about half an hour to kick off, so I'm going to go ahead and let you all go, get settled in, get ready for kickoff. Tom Silver tonight should have his live vlog starting here any minute, getting ready to run throughout the game, and then we will have full coverage. We've got full boots on the ground here in Vegas. We'll have full coverage for you from the wrap-up of Packers versus Raiders here on Monday Night Football. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next time.